Hey, this is Dr. Nick with Rhythm Chalk Talk number 10. I just wanted to get you guys used to reading more difficult tracings. We'll call this intermediate, but it is a 12 lead and it's an interesting rhythm problem. So let's get to it. Looking at the 12 lead, you can notice that there is an irregularity to it, but we talk about regularly irregular or irregularly irregular, and I think what you guys should be able to recognize is that there are groups of two. There's group beating with two beats followed by a pause and two beats followed by a pause. If you kind of look at the first beat, you can see the P wave is upright in one. There's a bit of a first degree AV block. In fact, it's quite a first degree AV block. The measure is about 280 or 300 milliseconds if you take calipers to it. And if you look at AVF, you have an upright P wave here. So it does seem to be a sinus mechanism of some kind because the P's are up in one in AVF. And when you're looking at the 12 lead on the whole, you can see the voltage is extremely generous. You clearly have criteria for LVH with a very deep S wave in V2 and a tall R wave in V6. Plus, you've got this characteristic strain pattern in the ST segments and the T waves. So you can call it LVH with strain, and I think you could probably look at this P wave in V1 and decide there's possible left atrial enlargement because you've got, a fairly hefty negative deflection at the end that's one box wide and one box deep. But the hardest part is figuring out the rhythm. And if you look at the PR interval of this second beat, it clearly looks like it's getting long, right? Well, where exactly is the P wave, though? I just want you guys to be clear about it because remember, P waves kind of give you a very sharp deflection because they have high frequency signals. And when you look at this T wave, you see it's nice and smooth. And when you look at the T wave of this beat, you can see there's a very large bump right here at the tail end of the T wave. So I would say this is the start of the P wave in this beat, and the PR clearly gets longer compared with this PR interval. Yes, you can take calipers if you don't trust me, but my eyes are looking at this and say this is almost 360 milliseconds, very long. So, okay, you got group beating, you've got pauses, you've got PRs that are getting longer. So what do you think? This is probably type, what would it be? Type 1 or 2? Type 1, second degree AV block. Well, if you said that, you are wrong. Nope. Fooled ya. Okay, so why not? Why isn't this type 1 second degree AV block? Clearly, the P is getting longer. You've got group beating. Well, let's take out our trusty calipers and figure it out. What should we be looking for with our calipers? Well, one thing's for sure. We should be able to see that well, for one, let's look at the P to P interval. So we'll come down here. So there's about the more or less the P to P interval, right? And so let's look at the next sinus P wave, and wait a minute, where is it? Hold on. We know that there's a nice smooth T wave here. We can see this is the P to P interval, but there doesn't seem to be a P wave here. After all, you would think that there should be, I should be writing a P here that blocks, and then it all starts all over again with, the PR getting longer, and then a P here that blocks, but there's no P. Okay, so this is a very common problem. We see it all the time. People make the mistake of calling this second degree AV block, but it's not. If it was second degree AV block, where's the P that didn't conduct, right? We should have a P wave that blocked, but it didn't. So how do we explain this? Well, since the P to P interval is clearly not marching through, what's the next likely diagnosis? Well, I'll tell you what this is. This is a sinus beat, and this is a sinus beat. And if you kind of figure out what's in between, the next sinus beat should have fallen here, but it didn't. It came here. Okay, so it's not a sinus beat. It's premature. So this is a PAC. It's an atrial premature beat that landed on the T wave. It conducted with a first-degree AV block much longer than the underlying first-degree AV block. Why? Because remember, the AV node doesn't conduct as well at faster rates or shorter coupling intervals because it's calcium dependent. We talk about that in the physiology of the AV node. So this P wave was a premature atrial contraction, or APC, whatever you want to call it, and it conducts with a first degree, and then what happens? You get a compensatory pause, and there's no other P wave in here. There's no P at all. What you get is the next sinus beat, and then the next PAC. Okay, so you have a pattern of a sinus beat, PAC, pause, compensatory pause, sinus beat, PAC, compensatory pause. What do we call the pattern when an ectopic beat occurs every other? It's bigeminy. I think we've seen this before. This is atrial bigeminy with a first-degree AV block, but there's no second-degree AV block here. All the P waves conduct. What you have is a first-degree AV block, but the bigeminal pattern makes you think that it's Wenke-Back 3-2, but it's not. It's a common mistake that people make, and I wanted you guys to see this. We had seen atrial bigeminy in the past that was non-conducted, but these all conduct, and it gives the appearance of a second-degree AV block, but it's not. So I hope that was helpful. It was kind of fun. So remember, log on to ecgacademy.com for the basic ECG lessons that will take you all the way through arrhythmias, 12-lead ECGs, up to advanced stuff. In the meantime, keep watching on YouTube, and I'll keep posting videos so that I can help you become an ECG expert too. Thanks for watching.